Let's get things started. Hey guys, Hattopy here. To say that my expectations were high for Xenoblade Chronicles X is a bit of an understatement. After not just playing, but experiencing the first game, I was quite excited for the game when they finally announced it. Alarms started showing up, however, when further trailers were coming to light. For every one cool thing they showed, like the mech combat letting you basically play Pacific Rim, there was about two other things that wasn't quite up to par. Regardless, though, I gave it the benefit of the doubt, so I went out of my way and bought a larger USB drive since digital copies took up a lot of space on Wii U's, and also finding physical copies around me was nigh impossible. But regardless, let's just dive right in and take a look at what we're dealing with here with Xenoblade Chronicles X. So Xenoblade X starts off with an intense battle over Earth between two alien races, with humans caught in the crossfire. Humans construct large ships and send them out into space to escape the fighting, though most get destroyed. Jump 2 years, and a ship called the White Whale is tracked and attacked by one of the alien races, forcing an emergency landing on a planet later known as Mira. Most of the pods containing the humans get separated from the main group, however, including your own. Fortunately, you are quickly found by Elma, a member of Blade, which is a special task force of sorts, although you don't seem to really remember due to immediate amnesia. She arms you and escorts you back to the crash ship turned city of New Los Angeles. And from there, your journey basically begins. Explore the vast world of Mira on land, sea, and air. Recruit a large cast of characters and fight deadly monsters. Discover the secrets behind the alien race trying to kill you, and see to the repopulation of your race. You can tell just by how brief the plot summary is that Xenoblade Chronicles X's story isn't nearly as robust as the other two. But it goes even deeper than that as to how poor the story actually is. But in order to do so, I gotta bring up some aspects about the game in general. To kick off, putting it very bluntly, the story isn't very good. The emotional weight the first game had is completely tossed aside in favor of a scenario of trying to save your race, except that a lot of them are already saved and have already established a stronghold in New LA. Okay, fine, these people don't deserve to rot away in life pods, fine. However, the game butchers the severity of it by making it an open world RPG. Sure, it's a grand RPG and stuff, but considering that in so many cutscenes, people keep stressing to you to go out and rescue all of these entrapped individuals, to then only allow you to go and fly wherever you want, go to a volcano and kill some monsters to get parts and whatever, all that kind of undermines the severity of the plot. I know I got wordy there, but let me put it like this. Persona 5 is an 80-hour plus long RPG that has constant time constraints put onto the player. Admittedly, I think they could have been even the slightest bit more lenient, but the fact of the matter is that Persona forced the player to make snap decisions on how to improve themselves while still making you feel like you're getting even minimally stronger in a large-scale adventure. Maybe what Xenoblade X should have done was something very similar. In between story missions, you could do side quests and other activities for New LA to try and improve the lives that are being lived there now, or you could go out and fight tyrants to gain better gear, more money, etc. And after a certain amount of experience has been met, you then had to go ASAP back and accept the next story mission. Just something to raise the stakes a little bit more. Next is your party members. I'm going to go more into their combat prowess in a second, but just note that a lot of them remain largely unimportant to the main story, mostly because a lot of them are actually DLC characters placed into the game on a day one patch, so their significance to the plot is severely hampered. Adding to that is the fact that while you are participating in main scenario quests, in your party of 4 members, 3 of them are locked off for Elma, Lynn, and the Avatar, leaving only 1 spot extra for someone else, making variety nearly non-existent, except for when you're doing scale combat, but that's kind of different. What's worse is that your avatar can learn unique arts that are exclusive to certain party members by using them a lot. So if you have a few skills you really want to learn, there's not a whole lot of chances to learn them at a decent pace nor committing to them emotionally since you're there for their goods. But regardless, let's dive deeper into the combat a little. You take your party of 4 out into the world and initiate combat. The most noticeable changes from the first Xenoblade are swapping weapons and tertiary arts. Swapping weapons is as fairly straightforward as it sounds. Each character comes equipped with one melee weapon and one ranged weapon of a small variety of elements. Each weapon has its own pool of arts to pick from, with your avatar being able to wield all of them, with your other party members being locked to one of each. There's also secondary cooldowns, which, to put it simply, allow you to charge arts past the initial prerequisite to use it to allow for a more powerful attack. Quick tip, unless you absolutely need to, never use an art as soon as it's available. Wait for it to charge further. The potency on charged attacks is way better. You can also go into overdrive, pretty much replacing chain attacks. In this state, all arts become supercharged and allow them to become tertiary arts, further improving them. Now, all these sound par for the course, minus the exclusion of chain attacks. However, something just blew my mind when I first experienced this the first time. And it's that there are no healers in this MMO-like RPG, at least not traditional ones. There's a few party members that can kind of learn a healing art or two, but that's basically it. Now, I gave Dragon Age Inquisition the same sort of flack when they ditched their healers entirely, and although I still wish they had some, having to maintain potions and their usages did add a different form of strategy to healing. So what does X have to replace their healers? Well, remember those timed button presses in the first game to raise tension? Well, those are back, but how they're handled are different. You have to perform a variety of different functions to trigger the button prompt to happen, like breaking off a body part or performing a combo. Then when the button appears, you'll earn health based on how good the button prompt was. At best, the system is just very finicky, since there's only a select number of options that you can use in order to get the button prompts, and at worst, it's unreliable. Now, that would be fine if there was at least one competent party member that could actually heal you, and then just have the button prompts be bonuses, but that's not how it works. That being said, my parties usually consisted of at least the main 3, since there's really no one else you can really use during the main story stuff, and then my 4th slot being Irina, in order to learn her dagger healing arts onto my main avatar, and then have the two of them kind of work in tandem to be one whole healing party member. Now, max level is set to 50 for the human characters, even though enemies peak over 100 again like in the first game. So how can you compete, you may ask? That's where the Skells settle into the picture. Skell combat is fairly similar to regular combat, but with a few changes. Firstly, arts are set based on the type of equipment you place in the slots for the Skells. Those also affect stats as well, so it's always important to consider the gear you are placing on which Skell. For actual battles, you can trap enemies in a bind effect when they're staggered, allowing your team to go to town on them, whilst also replenishing your own fuel for your Skell. Fuel sounds important, you may ask, but not really. As long as you refill after regular trips back to town, you'll be fine. There's cockpit mode, which can be randomly triggered after using an art, which allows a second art to be used right away. And finally, if enough damage is done to your Skell, certain parts could be damaged, making the arts set to those parts unusable until it is repaired. Skells do have their own base level, which is something you need to keep an eye out for, but overall, it's your level plus the Skells that make up your place as a whole. You can also acquire repair kits for your Skells to be used in combat, which that alone makes it more exciting than regular combat. That and doing aerial combat just looks super fun to do. That all sounds well and good, however, you don't get Skells till about halfway through the game, and the ability to fly with them until about the last quarter. Skells can be extremely expensive, as suiting up an entire team of 4 can be a pain, more so when you want to give them actual good Skells. There's also a secondary method of acquiring them through multiplayer, though I'll just say it real fast. Multiplayer for this game sucks. There's also a really weird difficulty spike right at the end of the game. I dealt with all the weird stuff, the inconsistent combat and the story and all that stuff. I dealt with it. But then I got to 2 of the final bosses, and then all of a sudden, nothing that I was doing was working. One of the bosses just kept throwing me into a knockdown state, and since it was flying and constantly moving, it was so hard to keep up with it, and then just kept spawning ads, and then I just couldn't do anything. And then the other one just dished out so much damage all at once that I had no chance to recover. It took until the game told me that I could lower the difficulty in order for me to actually beat the bosses, which I don't take very lightly because that put a real hurt on my gaming ego. All of that just for a very mediocre ending. This is starting to go on a little long, so let's just burn right through these final points I want to make. There's a micromanagement system in the game that lets you earn currency. Throughout the world, you can find excavation sites and set up probes to also expand the map. By setting different probes that work in tandem with others near it, you can earn money or a different sort of currency specific to Blade. It wasn't bad, though I will say it was thanks to the Wii U gamepad that it didn't become tedious and annoying. For the graphics, the world looks nice. Mira has 5 different continents, all very distinct from each other, and gives a nice sense of progress throughout the world. The enemies that inhabit are also not badly designed. However, the character models look awful. A friend of mine put it best, they all look like giant dolls. There looks to be like a weird texture on all of them that gives them this like plasticky gloss to them, and the gigantic anime eyes didn't suit the overall color palette, hence the connection to them being dolls. And even the armor looks unimpressive, mostly settling for color swaps of the basic armor. They were probably settling for a sort of mech suit style armor for the ground units and saved the biggest effort for the skells. It's a shame though, since the skells designs don't do much for me either. And finally, the music is largely forgettable. Nothing really stuck with me except for the Tyrant mini-boss fight theme, a vocal track called Uncontrollable. And with that, that's my look at the Xenoblade Chronicles series. 2/3 of them being fantastic games and the other one being a large meh. But regardless, I cannot wait to see what other work Monolith comes out with, starting with Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Story DLC, which is going to come out very soon. I am very excited to play it, and who knows, maybe I'll even talk about that when it comes out. But anywho, thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you saw, you can click right up here to see some of my other videos, or if you really feel like it, you can click right up here to subscribe. But until next time, guys, I will see you all later.